that's where all the doubts start to come in, where it's like, did I really make the good decision? Is this really a good design? Did I
Mhm.
make a good decision on this? Yeah, just reaching out. You never know what happens. What's going to happen if you
Mhm.
just say hi
Yeah,
and
exactly.
ask patterns that I like. I can
Mhm.
emphasize things over others, and I just kind of work through it that way. Part of it is basically it starts out.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the podcast series X, Y, and Z. My today's guest is Raul Ramos, a very talented both illustrator and 3D artist, and also a person that is really great with creature design. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, all right, man.
Uh,
Um, yeah, so let's start with the question that actually
mhm.
kind of sparked my interest. If
Yeah,
you could travel to any time period, past or future, when would it be and what draws you to that era?
that's a hard one to think about. I think I'm gonna be super like predictable and just say sometime in the Mesozoic. um, I think if I could only pick one time period though, I'd probably have to go for the biggest, uh, most obvious, but I'd go back to Hell Creek, and I would
Mm,
definitely try to see a Triceratops and a T-Rex, and yeah, I think that would be a really cool experience. I'd have caveats though. I'd have to specify that I get to like, I don't know, I get like an armored car or something to drive around in.
oh
But
yeah, definitely you need to keep that in mind. Also,
yeah.
mm, the oxygen density and the atmosphere, you need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Because often people say, yeah, I wish I could go back to like Devonian or whatever, but there's no way you could like survive even 5 minutes. You would probably
Yeah.
die.
I'd have to carry like an oxygen tank or something with me.
Yeah, but yeah, considering you're prepared, then obviously um, that. But what could be like your second option if not for the T Rex, for the Triceratops? Um,
As far as like stuff to see,
mhm.
um, oh, man, Pachycephalosaurus would be really cool, and like Dakota Raptor. The
Oh
raptor
yeah.
would be on my list for sure.
Hmm.
Um, just to finally like see what they look like with all their feathers on and stuff like that would be really
No.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're more into Cretaceous, let's say, Cretaceous animals.
Yeah. If I could go back to, I think one of my favorite dinosaurs is actually a Megaraptor called Australopithecus.
Mm-hmm. No.
So if I could go back and see one of those guys, that would be sweet too.
No. Yeah. Megaraptors are yeah really cool. I have to agree with this. Um. So a bit question that leading a bit to your
Mhm,
career path.
mhm.
Yeah, what was your path to landing your first job in the 3D industry? Were there any key steps or connections that helped you?
That's a pretty interesting one. I think so. My background is actually not in 3D. I went to school for illustration. So I went to a 4-year art school for illustration. And then during the last semester of my of college, I was working on my grad portfolio, and I really wanted a 3D print of this creature that I was working on to be in there. So, I mean, I had done some traditional
Mm-hmm.
3D sculpting before, which I really found interesting, but I really wanted a 3D print, and I didn't have time to do like a traditional sculpt. So my only choice was basically to go and do learn ZBrush. So this was close to the end of my semester and everything needed to be ready. So I kind of had to rush to learn ZBrush, sculpt my dinosaur creature guy, learn how to 3D print, and then get that sent off. So that was like the start of it.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that I was like traditionally or like formally trained on how to do anything in 3D. A majority of the stuff that I learned was just through tutorials on actually that when I was learning ZBrush, there wasn't a ton of tutorials on like YouTube,
Mhm.
especially regarding like 3D printing. There was very few resources. So um I actually learned how to use ZBrush from I think it was like a weird like lynda.com uh tutorial.
Mhm.
Um there's this guy that was sculpting like this scorpion lizard thing that I learned how to use ZBrush from, and then whatever I could find on YouTube, and then what I was finding on like ZBrush Central, or they had their Pixelogic website.
Mhm.
So that was the start of it. Um, Afterwards, I just kept on. I got a job doing 2D illustration full time at a studio, and all of my 3D stuff was just on the side, just doing creatures for fun, really getting into paleo reconstruction for fun. Um, it wasn't until I started working for Beast of the Mesozoic on their figures that I actually started to get a kind of like a foothold in 3D professionally. And then from there, it was and that was just purely like just the contact that I made. I
Mhm.
One day I was like, well, these figures are really cool. I would really like to work on this project. I wonder if I have any chance to like work on it. So I just reached out to David Silva and said, hey, I really like your work. Would be really cool to collaborate with you. Here's some of my work if you're interested. And then from there, we just started a conversation, and I started to illustrate for him first, but
Mhm.
I expressed my interest in doing 3D as well, and yeah, he let me work on um, some of the ceratopsians for the ceratopsian series, and I've been doing sculpts for him ever since. Really, that was like 2018. Yeah,
Right now. So this was your first proper job that involved skills in 3D like ZBrush, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. That's really nice. Like I was expecting like someone from your school, you had a connection there, and then someone recommended you, but it was just reaching out to people, which is
Yeah,
pretty rare.
yeah, unfortunately there was not a lot of connections as far as there's a lot of connections from school and stuff
Mm-hmm.
for my 2D side of work, but not a lot for my 3D. I kind of had to build those on my own. One of the things that did help me a lot, I think, were I did a series of sketches for Draw Die November.
Mm-hmm.
I did like 30 different dinosaur sketches throughout a whole month. And that series, I think, really helped me become more visible just because it was consistent. There was a lot of them. I was posting pretty regularly. It really created like a volume of work that I could show. So I think that probably was useful. I was using 3D for that as well. Like I would sculpt the dinosaurs, use them to pose out the scenes and draw on top of them, or I would use
Mm-hmm.
like um, sketchy matte caps in ZBrush
Mm-hmm.
to create the base of the sketch and then sketch on top. So I think that's partly what got me a bit of a foothold. But yeah, just reaching out. You never know what happens. You know what's going to happen if you
Mm-hmm.
just say hi
Yeah,
and
exactly.
ask. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great answer. By the way, I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you. I just got this shirt. I had an older one that was getting pretty worn out, and I just got a new one a couple
Oh
days ago.
yeah,
So
yeah,
my new favorite.
I got I might have it right here. A dinosaur blues as well, like this hoodie. which is already
Nice.
getting a bit worn out, but it's like a custom, like Carcharodontosaurus skull. I love
Oh,
it
that's
very much.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I
That's
think,
sweet. I like that.
yeah, I might need to get a new one as well, maybe with a different design. We'll see. All right, so out of all your work in 3D, which project has been your favorite, and why is that?
Hmm, that's a good question. Which project has been my favorite? Um, I think one of my favorite projects has been I'm working with a partner on a project called Facts Dinosaurs,
Mhm.
and it's kind of this effort to. Sorry, my doggies are going nuts.
Yeah, it's fine.
So I'll recap just really quick. So I'm working on a project called Facts Dinosaurs with a
Mm-hmm.
partner, and it's kind of an initiative to get a pretty accessible fact sharing sort of app out
Mm-hmm.
there for dinosaurs. Just to get a nice, encyclopedia sort of thing
Mm-hmm.
that shows lots of different types of dinosaurs and some useful information for them. Um, so I've been working on that for mm, since 2017 is when we first made contact
Mm-hmm.
with each other, um, and doing a lot of models and actually working with lots of artists. I've actually been able to um, contact and work with a lot of my favorite artists that I personally enjoy their work
Mm-hmm.
and love to see their dinosaur reconstructions. And um, I get to work with them and sort of um, kind of kind of piece together this like vision of what we want for this project to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also get to do my own sculpts, and they're pretty free form. I don't have a ton of restrictions,
Mm-hmm.
other than they need to be as accurate as possible and as high quality as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, I basically get to pick and choose whichever dinosaur I wanna
Oh,
do, and then make a model of that and do some cool renders and stuff like that for the app. So I'll share some one of the dinosaurs that I have, one of the projects that I'll show
mm-hmm.
is from there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's been one of the more rewarding ones.
Okay. Yeah, I'd appreciate if you could maybe share the screen and show how does it look like, and maybe explain how did you go about certain parts.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you even like start modeling this? It's a
This
T-Rex
guy,
or some Tyrannosaur
it's a
species? Oh,
Daspletosaurus.
Daspletosaurus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually the second Daspletosaurus that
Mm-hmm.
I've ever sculpted. The first one I did was for Beast of the Mesozoic
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Tyrannosaur series. Uh,
yeah. That
so I
was.
have I have a figure of him over there.
Oh yeah, that one's very pretty. I've seen that one.
Thanks. Basically, um, I I did a base mesh for this guy first. So it
Mm-hmm.
started like this. This is his base mesh.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did this in Blender. Um, And the way I started it is basically it starts out with the cube, and then I have the skeletal information behind it, and I kind of just extrude everything like a box.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very almost like a PS2, PS1
Mm-hmm.
era, model
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of it. It looks kind of funny. But I just kind of keep adding and pulling out information from the box until I get to something like this where I can actually start seeing the form. So it's kind of a strange workflow, into this sort of box that morphs into this dinosaur eventually. But yeah, this is the base mesh for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I made this base mesh, um, because I'm still kind of doing this, but I'm gradually building up sort of a library of meshes that I can use in the future.
Oh yeah.
So this was supposed to be my like Tyrannosaur base mesh.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it because there's things that I would like to improve on it,
Mm-hmm.
but I've used this mesh maybe 2 or 3 times since this. I did a Labocania model with this mesh, and I
Mm-hmm.
also did a Gorgosaurus. I'm working on a Gorgosaurus model right now for with this same mesh. Um, so I try to get some utility out of it, make my own tools and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, from here it was just sculpting up the forms gradually uh, until I get these sorts of details here. Um, I did a lot of well, there was a ton of research now available about the different skin,
Oh yeah.
yeah, the scales that are on different parts of the Tyrannosaur body. So I actually was looking a lot at those, and I made my own tileable textures um, for different areas of the body here that I used on these. So these are all um, tileables that I added in here, either as alpha like
Mm-hmm.
drags,
Mm-hmm.
like with I like to use displacement to drag the alphas out, or it's actually mapped onto the mesh in Substance Painter, and then I bring it
Mm-hmm.
into ZBrush and use like different displacement
Oh yeah. Like stencils, right? Is that the word for it?
what's that?
Stencils, is that the word for the
Yeah,
new project? Mm-hmm.
yeah, basically.
So
So I
in
have I
mhm.
have those.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
Um, yeah, I was just gonna say like there's different, maybe I would say 3 or 4 different types of scale that I created for this tileable textures. You can really see the different, like here's one type. You can see the body scales. Here's one type. Um, there's another type somewhere. The belly scales are another type. They're more like square. And then see the scales usually on the face, fingers, toes. Those are usually all hand
Mhm.
sculpted.
Yeah, because these are the bigger ones, right? That
Yeah, the
you
bigger, more
you'd
custom looking
easily
ones.
see the repetition, but in the small
Mhm.
ones, you don't really see that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the amount of detail is just mind blowing to me. Wow.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it.
So when you do the wrinkles, right? Do you
Mhm.
follow some type of scheme that, or do you follow like real life reference for it, or you just kind of you have like a rule of thumb? Yeah, this is where the movement of the skull is gonna be, or the jaw. So I'm gonna add a bit more wrinkles, or how do you go about it?
Yeah, it's a combination of I think all of those. It's definitely real world reference. So I'm looking a lot at um things like Komodo dragons, other reptiles. I try to get uh, Komodos and crocodiles are probably the most useful because they're the biggest, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the weight of their skin is probably more comparable to what we would see in a dinosaur than anything else. But smaller reptiles are helpful as well sometimes, just to get to see like other examples of how the skin could fold. Um, yeah, definitely a lot of reference birds as well, like emus, cassowaries, ostriches, things like that. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of looking at thinking about the movement of the animal. Sorry for my autosave.
Yeah, it's fine.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the movement of the animal, thinking about how the skin would compress and fold in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I kind of like to think of skin folds like almost like drapery. Like they have points of
Mm-hmm.
tension where they hang from and points of tension where they attach to, and what they do in between is affected by gravity and movement. So you have a point of tension here, and you have a point of tension here, and then this kind of draping effect. Um, that's kind of compounded by the side to side motion of the head that the animal could be doing. And then you also have the up and down. So I'm trying to make traces of those movements in the skin itself, and then kind of just seeing what it does. Um, I like to make marks on the mesh. Like I'll start with a certain point. Like I'll know that I'll know that I want a fold here. So I'll start actually sketching basically on my
Mm-hmm.
model like all these different wrinkle
Mm-hmm.
flows, and then I'll think, okay, this represents a certain type of movement. Maybe this is like maybe semi side to side, possibly some up and down stuff, but I
Mm-hmm.
need more side to side. So I do another sort of course of wrinkles like this
Mm-hmm.
to represent the side to side motion. Still trying to follow the logic of like where it's attaching and stuff, but you see like quickly you get these like complex interactions of crisscrossing patterns and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And once I start building up this sort of interaction on the model, I get information to start to pick from. I can pick out different patterns that I like. I can
Mm-hmm.
emphasize things over others, and I just kind of work through it that way. Um, it's almost like I'm giving information, adding information to the model, but I'm also letting myself react to what the model's doing. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So, a bit more of a technical question. So, when you
Mhm.
pull the wrinkles out, what brushes do you use, or do you just kind of mask out these areas where the wrinkles are gonna be, or what's your take on this?
Yeah, usually I'm not super fancy with it. Like I use the standard brush a lot to just like feel where the wrinkle is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'll like start to sketch it in kind of lightly like this. And then once I get a good like rep feel for where that is going to land, then I can come in with I have this gravity brush. It's just something I made. It's
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it's just the standard brush with gravity turned on. It's this setting here,
Mm-hmm.
gravity. It's
Mm-hmm.
set to 50. You can do it lower or higher, but I just have it with a little bit of gravity, and
Mm-hmm.
I let it kind of I trace over my line, and I let it sort of drape just a little bit, just to add some weight, especially in the troughs of the fold.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to add a little bit of weight in there. Recently though, I found a brush on oh man, where did I find it? ZBrush. Oh man, ZBrush Guides. Called ZBrush Guides, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And I picked this one up. It's called the Skin Folds brush.
Mm-hmm.
And actually been doing pretty nice. Like it's a kind of a combination of the gravity and the
Mm-hmm.
standard brush. And
Yeah.
I actually pretty like it. It can be a little bit strong, so I try not to use it like super often, but you can see it kind of it builds up a nice little wrinkle here and there. So if I've been using this mostly for like finishing touches, so like I'll start with something like this, and then if I need a little bit more emphasis, I'll come back in with a brush like this to add just a bit
Mm-hmm.
of detail back in there. But that's mostly it. It's not super fancy at all, I don't think. Just basic kind of brushes and just trying to plan out where all the motion would be basically.
Yeah. Honestly, the starting out phase surprised me a bit. I was expecting you to start from a sphere, and then
Oh,
adding more details, and then the retopology. But yeah, so just box modeling, interesting. Um, So looking back,
Mhm.
is there anything you wish you had done differently in your 20s, personally or professionally?
Mm, my 20s. 20s were uh there was a lot going on. Um professionally, let's see. I think one of the biggest things is, I mean, from an art perspective
Mm-hmm.
and maintaining your creativity and things like that. I think it's super important to invest time in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Invest time in your own projects. Um, I think it's very easy to kind of get overwhelmed or like, just get caught up in trying to make your career like successful. So accepting client after client after client. There is that fear that I still get this is like, if I don't accept this client right now, there might not be another one. So or there might not be another one soon. So I need to do this now
Mm-hmm.
so I can get this, paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
so I can, survive. Um, I think that that was a big fear of mine. But I think if I were to go back in time and redo
Mm-hmm.
those years, I think I would be more relaxed about that. Um, because it really, the client work does sustain you as far as like monetarily and things like that, and they definitely can be fun, but ultimately they're for another person, and you really need to make sure that you're feeding your own like creativity and your own work, because that's really where I feel like you kind of rejuvenate your own
Mm-hmm.
creative, uh life, I suppose. um Doing stuff that you're interested, working on your own projects, building your own worlds, building trying to build an audience off of the work that you personally enjoy rather than
Mm-hmm.
doing like a fan art or stuff like that. I think that's super important, and I would have focused much more on that, um, in those years. And then also just taking better care of your mental health, your I think it's very easy to get stressed out over like all the deadlines and things like that. Taking care of your mental health, taking care of your physical health. Um,
Mm-hmm.
of course, too much work, too much sitting in front of your desk, just drawing all day is going to take a toll on your body.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely prioritize, getting outside more, doing more exercise. Um, just try to relax and enjoy life more. I think,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
uh, it's a big deal. The more you can do that, the more you're actually able to be more creative and get more work done. I think a lot of people get caught up in they want to be super efficient, and so that means they think that means that they have to be working all the time. But actually,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about staying at work all the time. It's just making sure that when you are working, you're being concentrated,
Mm-hmm.
and efficient in that way. And part of what helps you stay concentrated is actually taking breaks, and doing, stuff for fun here and there. Um, I think that would be yeah. If I could go back in time and or give advice to my 20-year-old
Mm-hmm.
self, I would say those things to the yeah.
Right, great. Yeah. I think there is that, let's say, trend that you should work really hard and just live a unbalanced life. And yeah, it can be good for like a certain period of time,
Yeah.
but at the end of the time, you're gonna basically feel if you didn't take care of your body or mind, just
Yeah.
working. All right, yeah, thank you. That was an amazing answer. Um,
Thank you.
so what first drew you to sculpting? Because you said you were sculpting traditionally, right? So
Mhm. Yeah.
Why did you interest why did it interest you so much? Why there must be something that still keeps you going and doing the work on
Yeah.
3D.
I've asked myself that question a lot, and I don't know if I have. Um, I don't know. I feel like they're just part of 2D and 3D stuff is just part of the same like big picture to me.
Mhm,
Like I just kind of see it as part of one kind of world, I guess. Like and I part of it is that I don't want to be limited. Like I love drawing and painting, but I also, if I want to, I want to be able to carry it over into something 3D or even print it out and have it physically
mhm,
in my hand. And I don't personally want to have to rely on anyone else to be able to do that for me. I want to have my hands on it like as much as I can. So part of it kind of came out of necessity. Like just like I wish I could sculpt this concept. Well, I'll just learn how to do that. And then I want it to be real, I want it to stand on my shelf, so I'll just learn how to do that. Like it just kind of like that's kind of how I approach things. Like if there's an end that I want to achieve, I just learn whatever I try to learn whatever it takes to do that thing.
mhm,
Um and that's kind of how 3D came about in terms of like I guess the digital side of stuff.
mhm,
As far as like the traditional side of things, I was always really fascinated by like behind the scenes stuff with movies. Like a
mhm,
lot of the Jurassic Park like extra features I would watch all the time where you would see like people working on the maquettes of the T Rex or
mhm,
of the all of the animatronic stuff like that. I always found that really fascinating. Like I love watching those are probably the most interesting things about film and movies. Like what happens behind the scenes, how do they actually achieve those effects and things like that. Especially in the older films that use more traditional like special effects. I
mhm,
think those are really like all the makeup and um, all of that stuff is really really cool to me. Um, so I think that's part of it is I wanted to sort of emulate those people and like try that out.
mhm,
Um, so in college is where I actually first started to implement some of those ideas where like um, I would do a concept and then I would build an armature based off the concept and then go in with like polymer clay and I started working more in that
mhm,
sort of movie maquette style. Um, and I was doing that for quite a while until I moved into traditional. I mean, sorry, not traditional,
mhm,
digital stuff. Um, yeah, I think those would be my main two like influences, just from the movies aspect of it, and then just like wanting to feel like I have like a whole skill set.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, amazing. So, mm, another a bit deeper question. Um, do you have these moments, you know, you kind of ask yourself, will this even work out? Like, you have a certain project that is a bit more, ambitious. Um, how do you manage to overcome them mentally? Because it can be a bit dragging, I feel like. So, what would be
Yeah,
your solution?
you mean like just within a specific project that
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um yeah, I've definitely had those moments. Um usually usually it kind of goes like, and I would say like in a bell curve. Like I start out super excited
Hmm.
about a project and I feel like I'm making a lot of headway and momentum, and then at the there's a comes to a point where it's like starts to taper off and then it like goes into this like valley.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's where all the doubts start to come in, where it's like, did I really make the good decision? Is this really a good design? Did I
Mm-hmm.
make a good decision on this? Do I have like do I have the skill to even get this done the way I want to get it done? Um, that's where all of those ideas and to be honest, that's usually where the like if I'm working on a model, that's usually where the model looks the worst. Like it's in that weird phase where it's not in the beginning phases yet, and you don't have everything established, so
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really look good. It's like in this weird middle stage that tends
Mm-hmm.
to look really awful. So yeah, that's where all of those ideas tend to creep in. And to be honest, getting the reps in um, helps. Like what I mean by getting the reps in is like, fortunately, I have a lot of work that I've built up where I know that I can do it. You know, like I've done many projects and I've finished them and they've come out well, and I can look back on that and say, okay, you felt this way about this project as well, and it ended up being okay. So the likelihood of your current project being okay is probably
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. So I can look back on that and kind of help myself to see that okay, you felt this way before, you're going to be fine. So that's a bit of a reassurance. But it's also just like maybe for somebody who's a beginner who doesn't really have that
Mm-hmm.
yet, um it's also just about taking things a step at a time. Maybe you can break down the process that you're trying to go through into different steps,
Mm-hmm.
and you just take one step at a time and try to get through that, and then next day you get through the next one, next day you get through the next one, um, and eventually, I think part of what creates that mental block is you're kind of you're at the base of this mountain that is your project, and you're looking at the top as the destination, and you're seeing the distance that you have to climb to get there, and that's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
um the distance that you're seeing, at at the bottom of the trail is just it can definitely dissuade you from even trying to climb it. But what I would say is, yeah, try to take it, stair steps all the way up, and eventually, you'll get to where you want to go. I think, as long as you don't give up. Um, that's kind of how I like to break it down. When I get stuck in those thought processes,
Mm-hmm.
I try to just say, okay, well, what's the next step that I have to
Mm-hmm.
do? Oh, well, I have to UV it, so I'll just do the UV, and then okay, what's the next step after this? And then I'll just kind of take it bit by bit, and then eventually it'll wear off. It comes in waves,
Mm-hmm.
and then washes away, and then it comes back, and then you know, it's just that sort of persistence. I think is that it's important.
Yeah, I would agree. It's keeping the it's better to keep that positive self-talk whenever these thoughts appear. Yeah, just break
Yeah.
it down. I think that's a great advice for someone who's a beginner, but even the best of the best have these moments of weaknesses.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, for sure.
so I will ask one more question. Was there a
Mhm.
specific creature design or artist that originally inspired you to, pursue that creature design, dinosaurs, right? Is there such a
Oh
style
man.
or person?
Um, if I go back to sort of try and think about the origin of where all this probably started, it would have to be the influences would have to be either Godzilla
Mm-hmm.
or Ray Harryhausen,
Mm-hmm.
because those were the two main visual like inputs that I was getting as a kid. Um, when I was growing up, like my grandpa used to always like look out on the TV, the programs on the TV
Mm-hmm.
to like see if there were any like dinosaur or like monster stuff for me to watch, because he knew I like really gravitated towards that for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime there was like a Godzilla film on TV, he would make sure I was knew about it and was able to see it. Or yeah, the Ray Harryhausen stuff with all the um there's there's a ton of creatures in there usually. Like the Valley of Gwangi is very dinosaur heavy. That's one of my favorites. Um Jason and the Argonauts. That's not really dinosaurs, but still like kind of cool
Mm-hmm.
creatures and harpies and stuff like that in there. The Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think those would be the two inputs that really started me on this course, because that's where I started to begin like thinking about these these crazy animals, that used to be alive, or even in the case of like Godzilla and like the Greek mythology, like animals and creatures that wouldn't even exist. And I started to play around with those ideas in my
Mm-hmm.
mind and wanting to draw them.
Yeah, I think a hint to that answer is behind you. You have so many figures of Godzilla. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Godzilla's everywhere here.
All right, thank you for answering that. And now we will continue to the phase 2, which is the rapid fire question challenge. So, okay, guys, so I'm gonna explain the rules real quick if you don't know it yet. So, right now, Raul is gonna start a 10-minute timer, and in that period of time, he has to try his best to sculpt this beautiful dinosaur that's on the left. And in the meantime, so that his job isn't that easy, I'm gonna ask him these rapid fire questions that he has to answer the best way that he can. All right, so are you ready to start?
I am ready to start. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Okay. So, do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever scrapped an entire project midway?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you sketch your ideas before modeling, or do you just follow, reference blindly?
Most of the time I do some sort of sketch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe every artist has a unique style?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy experimenting with new techniques?
Yeah, I do a lot, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you still surprise yourself with your own work?
Every now and then. Yeah.
Do you believe inspiration can strike anytime?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you keep an idea bank or folder for future projects?
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. Do you prefer stylized over realistic models, or how is it for you?
It kind of fluctuates. I appreciate both, but I think personally, in the stuff that I try to achieve, I like to go for as realistic as I can.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel emotionally attached to a piece?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now it's category 3D art and software. Do you use Blender regularly?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Do you customize your workspace layout in Blender? Or do you
No, I rarely customize my workspace.
Mm-hmm. This is a fun one. Have you ever rage quit during a render?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I think everyone had this situation. Do you enjoy UV unwrapping?
Actually, I don't find it too bad. I think it's actually pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Do you prefer modeling over texturing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you use real-time rendering often in your workflow? So like Eevee, or just go straight for the heavy render engine?
Not too much. No, I don't use Eevee too much.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever try out beta versions of 3D softwares? Or do you stick with just the releases?
Yeah, I try out experimental or like beta versions of like a Blender, and I don't think I've ever tried one for ZBrush. I don't know if they do that, but I would if they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was kind of answered before, but have you created your own alpha brushes, sorry, library?
Yeah, I do a lot of that.
Do you use hotkeys more than menus?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now it's category skills and learning. Do you watch tutorials regularly?
Not as often as I used to, but I do still do whenever if there's a specific like question that I have, I will still pop open a tutorial.
Mm-hmm. Have you taught 3D art to someone?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of my best friends, I taught how to use ZBrush.
Oh, nice. Do you still learn new software tools every year? So, different softwares. Or do you just...
Yeah.
Hmm?
I'd say I still try to incorporate as much new stuff as I can. Anything that interests me, I'll try to learn.
Mm-hmm. Do you constantly revise your old work?
No, not too much. Not because I don't want to, but mostly because I don't have the time to. There's a lot of stuff that I would like to revisit, but I just haven't had the chance. I would if I could.
Have you learned from YouTube more than school?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Do you think learning good topology is overrated? Kinda keep everything in quads.
Learning new topology overrated? No, I think it's good still to have. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I think it's important to at least try, or I understand the fundamentals of it.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever used AI in your creative process?
No.
Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy feedback on your work?
Yeah, as long as it's constructive feedback, sure, absolutely.
It's just not hate.
Yeah.
Have you ever joined an art challenge?
I have, yeah, quite a few times actually.
Where did I lost the question? I don't know it for some reason. Oh yeah, now it's workflow and projects. Do you plan out your projects before starting out? I mean, it was kind of
plan out my projects before starting out. Yeah, most of the time, I'll either do like a sketch of what I want. I'll try to get like a big overview. Sometimes I actually do like flow charts in there's a program. It's called Miro. It's just like a browser program that you can use to like collect reference or make mood boards, or like it does a ton of stuff actually. But I've used that a lot to like plan out like whole projects, like from beginning to end. Like, do I want to do like a base mesh? Do I just want to start from a sphere? Is there any like particular challenges that I have that are like facing this project that I need to overcome? And I'll like notate that. You can link like tutorials for specific problems that you might have later on in there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. Do you prefer working alone? Or yeah, what do you?
Do I prefer working alone?
Yeah.
No, I actually like working in groups. Like if there's people who wanted to collaborate on stuff, I think I would enjoy that a lot. Like I've been part of bigger projects before and I've really enjoyed it. Contributing to like spaces like that and feeling like you're a part of a team and things like that. Um it's just hard to the thing that's hard about those is just you're you're committing a certain amount of time, and it's hard to find people that will commit an equal amount of time as you,
Mm.
or like it's hard to set those expectations. Everybody has their own lives and stuff, and you don't want to like tread on that. But also, if you want the project to be completed, you got to spend the time. So it's hard to find that balance. I think that's the most challenging part of it.
Yeah, I see. Um, do you block out forms before adding detail?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
pretty obvious. Do you time yourself while working? Obviously, with the exception of now.
Most of the time, no, because I think it adds like another element of stress, and I think I'm already as stressed out as I probably can be. So I know, but there are things that I do like for productivity like sake,
Mm-hmm.
like I will it's called a Pomodoro.
Oh yeah.
I think it's called the Pomodoro method. I'll do that stuff. Yeah.
Do you enjoy retopology?
Sometimes.
Sometimes not.
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you keep backups of all your files? Oh, yeah.
Try to, yeah.
Project related.
Yeah.
Have you lost hours of work due to a crash?
Not hours, but like definitely significant minutes that were very important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the way, what I forgot to put on my own timer. Can you check the time?
I think we're actually just at 10.
Oh my god.
I think we're 10 minutes and 35 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my stopping point right here.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. So thanks for finding the time and actually being the part of this interview.
No problem.
The main point of this interview, I could say. Yeah, guys. So check out this next interview that will appear probably somewhere out here. If not, you can check out my other videos. I do talk about sculpting and dinosaurs mainly. So yeah, right. See ya. Bye.